Hi, my name is Douglas Griffin. This is my Wednesday night Bible study. um, Hopefully, my sister will find me. This is June 21st, 2023, and we're in the book of John. If you've never watched before, I go through the entire Bible verse by verse by verse, not every night. Right now, we're in the book of John. We're in John chapter 19. It is probably 6 hours now before Jesus is going to be on the cross. So we're going to review a little bit in John chapter 18 in order to get the full understanding of what's going on with Pilate. This lesson is about Pilate. I started to call it Pilate doesn't know if he's coming or going. Uh, but I'm going to call it the powers that be because it's about who really has the power. Okay, new document. No, recent document. Help me. Oh, open recent. Okay, John chapter 19, part 1. Here we go. So, in our last episode, John chapter 18, um, once they got Jesus from the Garden of Gethsemane, he went, they took him to before Annas and then Caiaphas. Annas is Caiaphas' father-in-law. Annas had been the high priest, but this year his son-in-law was high priest. But they took him to Annas first because Caiaphas, he was new. Let's see what Annas says. Then we'll take him to Caiaphas. Oh, it's, yeah, okay, let me go back and look at it. Hopefully that helped a little bit. Um, so, Caiaphas was angry and wants to get rid of Jesus. And so he cannot not pronounce, but he cannot announce the death penalty because that was taken away from the Jews. Only Rome can pronounce the death penalty. So they've got to take him to Pilate and get him to give the death penalty. So in John chapter 18, verse 28, it says, then they led Jesus from Caiaphas to the Praetorium. This is where Pilate, this is his apartment complex where he lives, right? And his palace is on the inside. And it says, and it was early in the morning. So maybe it's 6 in the morning now. It's noon by the time they're done with him, but it's maybe 6 in the morning. But they themselves did not go into the Praetorium. So Pilate went out to them and said, what accusation do you bring against this man? So he's in the Praetorium. He comes outside. We're going to try to keep track of how many times he goes in and out of this Praetorium because Pilate, like, the whole time. Seriously, it's just, they're making him crazy. So why are you accusing this man? And they said, we're not going to tell you, just trust us. He's guilty of something. Okay. So Jesus is in the Praetorium. So in John 18:33, it says Pilate goes back into the Praetorium again. Second time in the Praetorium. He calls Jesus and he says to him, so are you the king of the Jews? Because they're trying to he's trying to take over. He's trying to declare himself king. And that's why you should punish him. Okay, I guess. He's going to lead some sort of insurrection against me. Okay, all right, I'll check and see, but I don't really believe you. So he goes in second time in the Praetorium because Jesus had been in there. He left Jesus, came outside. They wouldn't give him a good answer. He goes back inside. So in verse 33 of John 18, are you the king of the Jews? And Jesus, who was interested in Pilate's salvation, because it's interesting. We've got to read these verses differently than, oh, they brought him and he was innocent and Jesus is all upset and I can't believe that you're bringing me here and that he's had, and that's why he's challenging them. I'm not going to answer you because where it's the opposite. He's been telling everybody this was supposed to happen. Jesus knows this is supposed to happen. Even though it's supposed to happen and these people are wrong for what they're doing, he still wants them to get saved. There's not anyone, there are people that we've given up on. God hasn't given up on them. That person's always drunk or they're always addicted. God hasn't given up on them. And God may know that person may never accept him, but he never stops trying to reach them. They will not be able to stand before him and say, I would have, if you had just tried one more day, I would have. He's like, I did try that day. There's not a day in your life that I did not try to reach you. So, although I tried various things, sometimes I let you get arrested, hoping that would reach you, right? So God tries all kinds of stuff, but he never gives up on anybody. So even though Pilate is arresting Jesus, Jesus is not saying these things to get Pilate and make him feel stupid. He asks him, are you asking me this? Or are you asking me because somebody told you? Why are you asking if I'm a king? Are you starting to believe that I'm the king? Or you're just answering it? Because he wants him to think. What. So he says, I don't know. I'm not a Jew. I don't understand in your customs, so I don't know the answer. So in John chapter 18, verse 37, Pilate says to him, are you a king then? Are you a king? And Jesus answered him and said, you say rightly that I am a king, and for this cause I was born, and for this cause I've come into the world, that I should bear witness to the truth. Because he says to him earlier, okay, my kingdom's not of this world, so you don't have to feel threatened. So that means you're a king. Yes, but I'm trying to bear witness of the truth about my kingdom, the true kingdom, because the spiritual world is actually truer than the physical world that we see. What we're seeing is perishing. These buildings are going to pass away, and people are going to pass away, and that plant is going to die. But the spiritual world is permanent. And so that's why God's trying to get us to put our faith in what's permanent and not in these things, material things, that are going to be smashed and gone at some point. So when he's talking about the truth, he's talking about the truth of a real lasting kingdom, because your kingdom, Pontius Pilate, is going to be dismantled, but my kingdom will stand. So when he says, I came to bear witness of the truth, he says, and everyone who utters the truth hears my voice. So Pilate says to him in verse 38, well, what is truth? I mean, I don't get it. And when he had said this, so he went out again to the Jews. So he was in the Praetorium, went out talking to the Jews, went back in the Praetorium, talking to Jesus. Now he's back out talking to the Jews. He says to them, I find no fault in him at all. So when Jesus says, I bear the truth, he really wants to know, what is truth? I wish somebody would tell me the truth. But he doesn't question Jesus further. He doesn't say, so please tell me the truth. He just, well, who knows what truth is? But he goes back out to the Jews and says, sorry, I don't find any fault to them. Again, all the Jews were not there, just the ones who were threatened by Jesus, just the religious in that time. So again, I just want to narrow down which Jews Jesus is talking about. In Matthew chapter 27, verse 19, it says, while he's out there, because John is filling in what Matthew, Mark, and Luke did not write, because he went in there with Jesus. He wasn't afraid to go into the Praetorium. He wasn't afraid. He never left Jesus aside. Even at the cross, he's standing next to the cross with right? So Matthew says that, so they only know what happened once Pilate came out. That's all they know. In Matthew chapter 27, verse 19, it says, while he was sitting on the judgment seat, he's sitting outside on his balcony, and all the religious Jews are there, the Sanhedrin council is there. His wife sends him a note. So his wife sent to him saying, have nothing to do with this just man. He's a holy man. Don't fall into any trap. Don't let the Jews trick you in anything. For I have suffered many things today in a dream because of him. And she means it. Like, I've had nightmares. And so this man is righteous. Don't let them fool you. So he doesn't know what to do, which is Pilate's fault. There are answers. But I got to try to please the Jews. I need to please this set of people and that set of people. And it's his own dilemma he's creating. So he goes, I know. And he mentions, hey, you guys sometimes say you can release somebody. So who do you want to release? And they say, Barabbas. And he goes, oh, man, now what do I do? So he sends him to Herod. John doesn't have that in his book because that's already in Luke. Now, I'll just remind you, he sends him to Herod because they say, we don't want to have anything to do with this Galilean. And he went, oh, Galilean. Oh, that's where Herod lives. I haven't talked to Herod in a long time because he just slaughtered a bunch of Galileans back in Luke chapter 13. But so I'm mad at him because that's just going to make the people mad at Rome. And Herod, and because Herod, again, he's a descendant of Esau, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Wait, Abraham, Isaac, help me. Abraham, Isaac. Oh, Jacob. Yes, Jacob changed his name to Israel. Jacob's brother's Esau. So they're cousins. He's not of the line of Israel, but he's cousins to them. And the Romans plucked Herod and said, I want you to be over these people. Uh, so he was Israel adjacent. And but he had no problem killing a bunch of Jews because they were just his distant cousins. So Pontius Pilate's mad at them because that's going to make Rome look bad, and the last thing they want is a revolt from the Jews. So he hadn't spoken to him, but once he hears he's a Galilean, says, "Okay, I'll let Herod handle this because if he's from Galilee, and he wasn't from Galilee, but that's where he went first, and the majority of his disciples, except for Judas, were from Galilee. So they assumed he was from Galilee. Yeah, well, he's a Galilean, and nothing good comes from Galilee, and okay, but he's not. So I'll send him up to Pilate." So Pilate said to the chief priests in Luke 23, chapter 4, I find no fault in this man. Even though you took Barabbas, I'm not sentencing him to death, sorry. But they were more fierce, saying, well, he stirs up the people, teaching throughout all Judea, beginning from Galilee to this place. And that's when, oh, Galilee. So when Pilate heard of Galilee, he asked if this man were a Galilean. And as soon as he heard that he belonged to Herod's jurisdiction, I could have just read the Bible to you instead of explaining it for 5 minutes. He sent him to Herod, who was also in Jerusalem at that time. Now, when Herod saw Jesus, he was exceedingly glad, for he had desired for a long time to see him because he had heard many things about him. Okay, because he had put to death, before he heard about Jesus, he'd put to death John the Baptist. And then he suddenly hears about this Jesus guy, because right as Jesus' ministry was starting is when John the Baptist was put in jail and then beheaded. And Judas said, I must decrease, he must increase. I mean, Judas. John the Baptist said that. And so he thought he'd gotten rid of people preaching against sin. I got rid of that John the Baptist, and suddenly here's Jesus doing the same thing. So he thinks that Jesus is the reincarnation of John the Baptist. So he wants to make peace with him. Uh-oh, I killed you and you came back. So let's be friends. I have presents for you. But Jesus wouldn't come visit him. So Pontius Pilate gives him Jesus here. It's like, oh, yay, Hercules, Hercules. So he said he'd hoped to see some miracle done by him. I heard about this Jesus, verse 9 of Luke 23. Then he questioned him with many words, but he answered him nothing because Jesus is aware, you just want to use me. You're not listening to a thing I'm saying. So hopefully you'll run out of words at some point and actually listen to me. But the chief priests and the scribes stood and vehemently accused him. Yes, Herod, he's a horrible person. And then Jesus said, you're not really listening. So here's a method of getting you to, you might have a teacher that might have done that. The kids are all talking, and the teacher just stands there. Finally, they quiet down and say, okay, teacher, what do you want to say? So I'm hoping that you'll stop. Now, God knows that he's not going to do that. But this is the opportunity for Herod to stop and say, why haven't you answered me? And then Jesus will tell him something amazing, right? Nah. When Jesus doesn't answer him, he gets mad. And verse 11 says, then Herod, with his men of war, treated him with contempt and mocked him and arrayed him in a gorgeous robe and sent him back to Pilate. Oh, you think you're a king? Well, we'll make you like a king. And that very day, it says Pilate and Herod became friends with each other, for previously they had been at enmity with each other. So they became friends that day because Herod is so touched that Pilate gave him this gift. Fine. John chapter 19, verse 1. So here's where we're starting. So again, they brought him to Pilate. Pilate was in the Praetorium. He came down to try to reason with the people. They said, nope. He went in and talked to Jesus. Jesus said, I'm a king, and you got to deal with it. And so Pilate went back out, says, I don't find any fault with him, sends him to Herod. Now in John chapter 19, we're back. Pilate's back in the Praetorium for the third time. Verse 1, so then Pilate took Jesus and scourged him, thinking maybe this will satisfy them. He has him beaten. He does not want to put them to death, but he's thinking, the people, I sent him to Herod, Herod sent him back to me. Okay, if I whip him in front of everybody, then they'll go, okay, we're satisfied. No. The soldiers twisted a crown of thorns to put it on his head, and they put on him a robe, a purple robe. Why? Because Herod and them had just done that. So they want to be outdone by Herod. So they said, we'll do the same thing. They saw Herod do that. So they came back and they did the same thing. Then they said, hail, King of the Jews! And they struck him with their hands. Pilate did not order this. The Roman soldiers did this just because, well, if Herod can treat him that way, we can treat him that way. John chapter 19, verse 4. Then Pilate goes out again. So he's in the Praetorium, went out, went to talk to Jesus, went out, sent him away to Herod, back to the praetorium. Now he's back outside again. And said to them, behold, I'm bringing him out to you that you may know that I find no fault with him. So you'll be able to tell I've beaten him. You'll see it. But I want you to know I'm just doing this for you. Thinking now they'll calm down. Now Pilate is making all of his decisions based on what will the Jews think as opposed to what do I think about this man? And that's a problem. So when they saw, oh, if we raise ruckus, you'll whip him. If we raise more of a ruckus, maybe you'll crucify him. So Jesus came out in John chapter 19, verse 5, wearing a crown of thorns and the purple robe, and Pilate said to them, behold the man. See, he's a man. Behold the man. Now they're seizing on this word, the man. You see that they go, oh, no, but he said he was a god, right? So verse 6, therefore when the chief priests and officers saw him, they cried out saying, well, crucify him. You whipped him. Now crucify him. We'll just get loud enough and we'll make you do it. And that is a psychological principle. If your child can cry and scream and pout and kick their feet and you give in and give them something that they want, okay, I'll give you one of these. Then they learn, okay, if I scream and cry and pout even louder, you'll give me more because you just showed them what you respond to. So, okay. So we screamed and then you beat him? Because at first we found no fault in him, okay, and you weren't going to do anything. But so we're just going to scream louder, and you'll finally do what we say. And that's Pilate not judging Jesus and thinking, how do I feel about him? He's like, oh, I'm more worried about the people. Okay, all right. So Pilate says to him, well, then you take him and crucify him. I don't find any fault in him. And the Jews answered in verse 7, we have a law, and according to our law, he ought to die because he made himself the Son of God. So, you know we can't crucify him legally, so you got to work with us here. But here's why. He made himself the Son of God. You just said he was a man. Well, he said he was the Son of God. Now, their law is in Leviticus chapter 24, verse 16. The law says, whoever blasphemes the name of the Lord shall surely be put to death. This is at the very beginning when God is first giving his law and he's having to train people. You have to be stronger in people at the beginning. Well, like with a child, you have to snatch their arm, right? No, do not run across that street. You don't have to do that when they're 21 because they've had time to figure things out. And so you don't have to be, but at first they're playing with matches. No, you snap, right? So God has to say, if you blaspheme God, I have to stop that at the root before that gets worse. I have to snatch that match out of your hand before you set the whole house on fire. So if you blaspheme God, you're going to be put to death. I have to stop that idea from being planted in your head that that's a way that you can talk about God. Because if you aren't listening to me, the Amalekites and the Gigacites and all the ites are going to come after you and kill you because you're not used to listening to me. You're used to blaspheming me and thinking I'm nobody. I can only save your life if you listen to me, right? And you might say that to a small child. You got to keep your hand in my hand. You got to keep your eyes on me. I can only keep you alive if you listen to me when I say, put down that knife or don't, right? So God's saying, you can't blaspheme my name. I'll put you to death. I've got to teach you to listen to me. Later on, when I know you're listening to me, then I know you're just blaspheming my name because you're just upset in the moment. But you do listen to me. So he says, whoever blasphemes the name of the Lord shall be put to death. And all the congregation so certainly stone him, the stranger as well as him who was born in the land. When he blasphemes the name of the Lord, he shall be put to death. So they're saying, see, the law says that if you declare yourself the Son of God, you got to be put to death. Of course, Jesus is the Son of God, so he wasn't blaspheming. So, John chapter 19, verse 8. Therefore, when Pilate heard that saying, he was the more afraid because he's thinking, uh-oh, what if he is the Son of God? Okay, because he just called himself the Son of God. I didn't know he said he was the Son of God. I had asked him if he was a king, and he said, I have a king that's not of this world, and I didn't know what he was talking about. But now he's saying he's the Son of God. Uh-oh. Should I believe that? Should I not believe that? So he's got afraid. So he went back into the praetorium for the time number 4. He's in there, he comes out, he's in there, he's coming out, he's in there, come out, he's in there, back. He says to Jesus, where are you from? Now, he doesn't mean Where are you from? Compton? He means literally, are you from this earth? Are you from heaven? But Jesus gave him no answer because, and this is not Jesus like, I refuse to talk to you. Because Jesus is trying to solicit faith and not fear. Don't release me because you're afraid, oh, you're the Son of God and you're going to send lightning and strike me down. Right now, I want you to ask the question, are you the Son of God? Because if so, I want you to be not, wait, where are you from? Are you from heaven? Okay, I better take you out here. You're going to destroy this place. Because that still doesn't mean that you believe that you're a sinner and that I died for your sins. And that's where he's got to get people to. I'm God who's come down to save you. You need saving. And months ago, 2 years ago, when I first started this, I was always giving the analogy of the person who's in the pool drowning, but you can't convince them they're drowning, so you can't save them. The person's in the house that's burning. Come out, that house is burning. Ah, no, it's not, just a little hot. You can't save the person unless they believe they need saving. So it's important for people to think, oh, I'm a sinner, I need saving. Great, I'm here to save you. But if you don't believe it, I can't save you. So I don't want you to, are you the Son of God? Oh, you're going to destroy me. No, I'm the Son of God who come to save you. So he doesn't answer him at that point. So Pilate says that because he knows he's trying to solicit more from Pilate. So verse 10, Pilate says to him, are you not speaking to me? Obviously. Do you not know that I have the power to crucify you and the power to release you? So Jesus answered and said, you could have no power at all against me unless it had been given you from above. Now, he's trying to let him, so he's not saying you could have no power. He's saying the power that you have, which you do have, I'm not denying that you have it, but it was given you. Don't think that you own this power. I've got the power. Now, had Pilate said, God gave me put me in charge of you, Jesus would have said, yes, amen. God gave me the power to determine life and death in your case. Yes. But if you think it's your power from you, then I've still got to teach you that I'm not some God who's come to, that there is the God of the universe. He sets people in place so that you can humble yourself and like, oh, wow, there's a God who set me here. Now, to the man who's about to pronounce him and crucify him, Jesus is still deferring to him. Paul in Romans chapter 13 says, let every soul be subject to the governing authorities. For there is no authority except from God, and the authorities that exist are appointed by God. Now, we have a hard time with that. Paul wants us to know that that the devil didn't win, because we teach, oh no, I voted and the devil won. Oh, but 4 years ago I voted and the God won. The 4 years before that I voted, the devil won. God doesn't want you to think that, oh no, I have a new boss. The devil won. Oh, a boss I like came. God won. There's no comparison. The devil is not God's opposite equal. There's not this tug of war going on like that. Whether you like the person who's your boss or your president or your king or the pastor or the head of your district, God has allowed that person to be there. Now, it is for his own purposes. God allowed Pharaoh to be there and knew how Pharaoh was going to act, because that was for his purpose. But Pharaoh there's no reason to go into Pharaoh and say, you shouldn't even be here. Well, God put him there. We don't know why somebody is there, so we're supposed to just defer to them. Now, if they do stuff that we don't like, that's too bad. We still have to respect them. If they do stuff that's against God's law, then we don't have to follow that. So I want you to go out and kill everybody. No, I don't have to do that, because that's against God's law. If they raise our taxes or lower our taxes, God put them in office. We may not like it, but that doesn't mean they're from the devil because they're doing things we don't like. So there's a difference between somebody, your boss, or the head of somebody doing something you don't like. Like, I'm changing the hours of our meetings to 8 o'clock instead of 10 o'clock. Oh, man, I got to get up earlier in the morning. This must be the devil. No, God put that person there. You may not like what they're doing, but sometimes somebody will do something 20 years later. You look back and go, you know, that thing I really didn't like that person did? I can now look back 20 years later, and realize, wow, I'm actually glad they did that, because now I can see why God put that person in that place at that time, because this one single thing they did look, 30 years later, you can see they made us go out and plant trees, and we had to get out in our good clothes and plant trees. Well, oh my God, look at all the trees now, 20 years later, that are lining this and providing shade. And I didn't even realize that I thought that was just busy work. And so, but God can see, right? So the thing the person's doing that we don't like might actually have good consequences. We don't know. Or God may have that person there because they are a Pharaoh, and God is going to use them as an example of people who don't listen to him, and but they're there because God has them there. And so he's saying you still have to respect them. He says there is no authority except from God, and the authorities that exist are appointed by God. So if you know that God put that person there, then you have a different attitude. Again, if they do ungodly things, you can point that out, which is different than things you just don't agree with. I think it should be 4 o'clock, not 5 o'clock. So it must be the devil. No, that you just don't agree with that. That doesn't mean they're of the devil. Because God puts them there. Now, in verse 2 of Romans chapter 13 says, therefore, whoever resists the authority. So this is what the Bible says. I'm always stuck with what the Bible says. Whoever resists the authority resists the ordinance of God. And those who resist will bring judgment on themselves, because I don't care who it is. You got to say, well, God put this person there, so I'm sure he's got a reason. If we think the devil put that person there, then we're going to try to kill that person. But God wants you to know, I'm in charge of everything. And he hates it when we give the devil too much credit for stuff. And it bothers God because you act like there's another God. And it's not. It's me. Anything that you see happening, I'm behind it. Come to me and ask me why, but don't fight me on it. Lord, remove that. I put them there. Ask me why. But don't act like I didn't do it, and you have to fight it. So Jesus doesn't fight Pilate. But he says, Pilate, you're in the position you're in. Now, he knows what Pilate's going to do, but Pilate has the opportunity at that point to say, you know what, I really believe you're the Son of God, and I'm going to release you. And then there'd been some other way that Jesus ended up on the cross. God's not making Pilate send Jesus to the cross. But he knows what Pilate's going to ultimately do. So, okay, I'm going to use you. God never loses. I see you're going to be an idiot. I'm still going to put you in an office, and I'm going to use you. That's fine. So God's never thwarted. But I'd let you in office. I don't want anybody else to get it twisted. I always know what's going on. So we never have to get upset and, oh, Lord, this is a terrible thing. No, God's watching. If somebody's cutting up, if they're messing up, they'll get it. If they're a Pharaoh, they'll get it. They'll drown in the Red Sea. Don't even worry about it. You don't have to fret and, oh, my God. You can just giggle to yourself and say, well, God knows what he's doing, so I'm going to let God handle it, and he will handle it. We have to have faith in that. So, okay, Pilate, I'm going to give you opportunity. Jesus gives him opportunity. You're only here because God placed you here. So that's why I'm listening to you and I'm not arguing with you. You could have no power at all against me unless it had been given you from above. But you are waffling. You've gone in and out 4 times, in and out, in and out. It's not your fault, he tells them in the second part of verse 11. Therefore, it's actually the one who delivered me to you has the greater sin. You're sinning right now, which is so interesting. It's a sin, what you're doing. God still put you in place, but God knew you were going to do that. God knew Pharaoh would reject. God knew Pilate would give in. I'm okay with it. I'm still going to use that, but I want you to know it's a sin. You didn't have to do it. God's not making. Jesus is giving him opportunity. Jesus is saying, yes, I'm a king. My kingdom's out of this world. Yes, I'm the Son of God. Your power. Yes, you have every opportunity. And in fact, he tells them this is a sin. You're sinning now. But the people who delivered me have the greater sin because they know what they're doing. They saw me raise people from the dead. They saw me open blinded eyes. So they have the greater sin. But you keep saying, I find no fault in him, so then let me go. And don't worry, God's will still be had. They'll catch me outside and they'll just take me to the cross anyway. But don't you be guilty. You keep saying, I find no fault, and yet you keep giving in. But you're guilty of waffling. They're guilty of defiance. They have the greater sin. So verse 12 says, from then on, Pilate sought to release him. Because this might be the Son of God. And I need to let him go. and my wife had dreams about him. And see, Jesus is witnessing to Pilate. He's not mad at Pilate. He's trying to say things the way that Pilate would go, so I'm sinning. This is a sin. Maybe this man is the Son of God. Okay, I need to let him go because I think this man is innocent. So he goes back outside again. But the Jews cried out saying, if you let this man go, you are not Caesar's friend. Whoever makes himself a king speaks against Caesar, and Caesar's going to be mad at you. Okay, so okay, you can crucify him because that's more important to me than my eternal salvation. I may be crucifying the Son of God. I think there's no fault in him. But it's more important that I stay friends with Caesar because what happens in this world is more important than eternity. That's his reasoning. Okay. So when Pilate therefore heard that saying, he brought Jesus out again. And he sat down at the judgment seat again in a place that is called the pavement, but in Hebrew, Gabbatha. Okay. And now it's the preparation day. John wants to again let you know it wasn't the Sabbath yet. It was his preparation day, even though it's now almost noon, because he's been going back and forth for 6 hours, right? It's preparation day of the Passover, and about the 6th hour, and the day starts at 6, so it's about noon. And he said to the Jews, "Behold, this is your king." And they cried out, "Well, away with him, crucify him." So Pilate said, "You want me to crucify your king?" And the chief priests answered, "We have no king but Caesar." And they're lying because they hated Caesar. But okay, so then I say it's okay. He delivered him to be crucified, and they took Jesus and they led him away. So Pilate believed it was the Son of God, but still what the people said was more important. All right. In Luke chapter 22, verse 66, here's what happens before he gets crucified. This is the part that they're leaving out, and then I'll be ending with this. It says, as soon as it was day, the elders of the people, both the chief priests and scribes, came together and led him into their council. So Pilate gives him back to him. So they take him back to the Sanhedrin council, and they give him one last chance, supposedly. If you are the Christ, tell us. If you're the Messiah, you got to tell us. But he said to them, if I tell you, you will by no means believe. You're just looking for another reason to justify what you've already decided to do. Because yes, I'm the Messiah. I see he blasphemed again. So then he says, and if I also ask you what you believe, you by no means answer me or let me go, because I've done that before. Who do you say that I am? Oh, you're not going to get me in trouble. Okay. So hereafter the Son of Man will sit on the right hand of the power of God, though. Here's what's going to happen later. Is that those prophecies about the Son of Man coming that Ezekiel saw and judging Israel, that's about to happen. So I'm letting you know this is your last chance. This is your hello. So then they all said, "Oh, you're saying you're the Son of God?" Yeah, that's what I mean by all of this. You're saying you're the Son of God. So he said to them, "You rightly say, I am." And he says it again, and they go crazy. And they said, "What further testimony do we need? We tricked you into saying you're the Son of God, for we have heard it ourselves from his own mouth." And so they're going to take him away to be crucified. And Jesus is again giving them opportunity. Even on the cross, it never stopped. He never stops giving them opportunity. He's not trying to outwit them. He's not being sassy. He wants them to think about what they're saying. I know what you're going to do, but I'm not going to stop appealing to you. And isn't that wonderful that that's how he is? I know he never gives up on us. Never gives up on us. After we've sinned, he says, "Oh, just come and repent. Come on, here I am waiting for it." That's an amazing God, because most people would be, "Oh, I can't believe it. I gave you all those chances and you turned your back on me. I'm done with you." That's not the God we serve. So he never gives up, never stops reaching out. There's no sin we can commit where he'll go, "Oh, that's the one." There's no amount of time that can pass. Well, it's been 20 years. Sorry, not giving up on you. As you're taking me to the cross, I'm still keep witnessing to you because my love is never failing. So that's the God we serve. Okay, I'm going to end here. I'll see. I don't see any of you, thank goodness, because that would mean my computer was working incorrectly. But I will talk to you on Sunday. We're in the book of Exodus. Moses is just one chapter away from coming down from the mountain and seeing that golden calf. Then it's on. So And also this Sunday, I'll be preaching at my church from the book of Samuel. First Samuel. David's already killed Goliath, but now Saul's going to try to kill him. These are the people in the Bible are real people. Men did not make up these. These are real people, and they're acting in real ways. All right, so thank you. Hey, Joshua Shaw. So thank you so much for tuning in this week, and I will talk to you again soon. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.